night.
Some of us want to go home.
Damn it. I gotta cut my lunch.
Welcome to the planning board meeting for July 23rd. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to start with Mona Gorda. Gora, 302.
Oh, there's two Monas.
Yes,
Mona.
plenty moaning going on here.
It's a Mona.
Good evening.
I think we really finished this, right?
Yeah, I don't know, Steve Naroda with Harris Design. I don't know if you need any further information from us. At our last meeting, you requested some things that we submitted.
Right. Well, good. Okay, so however or whatever, we've got to close here. We didn't have a public hearing on this, right? So basically, we can move to the resolution at this moment. I need a motion to accept the resolution as written.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you're done.
Great, thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay.
We got a little nervous when we saw the board coming in. You know?
No more changes. Thank you.
All right, Eric and Mona Green. Mr. Stenchy, it's such a pleasure to see you.
Oh, pleasure to see you too. Good evening, Marcus Lucci for Mona and Eric Green.
This one is a public hearing.
So client installed the septic system, upgraded septic system, and
Before you start,
yes, sir.
we're opening a public hearing on this right now, okay? I just wanted you to be
Yeah.
aware. And I wanted that in the record. Thank you. Okay,
Good.
please.
So we need to install a wall to correct the grade from the driveway on the south side as per the plan. So we're here.
We're not using the term wall anymore at the planning board.
What do we call it?
Define it.
A retaining system?
Structure,
A retaining structure.
yes. The wall thing has kind of gotten a little convoluted lately.
Non-opaque structure.
Got it. I stand corrected.
This one is on the side of the south.
Okay.
So it's a wall.
Well, that is
It's a
the
legal
that is the
wall.
only reason. I actually, Brad is aware, I tried to convince the client not to do the wall, but anyway, here we are.
Okay. So we need some comments.
Yeah. The condition exists, so we can kind of see it. We're a little short on grades and drainage usually, but what it effectively does is the wall starts at the driveway and then goes down the grade. Finishes, it's gonna hit, it's gonna marry grade about 10 feet before the property line. So it's fairly simple. I don't really think anything further is needed. It's not like we're bringing a bunch of fill in, it's just a matter of walling off this side of the south. What you see is what you got right now. There's no
Ron?
grade change.
Yeah, it's, you know, also, they're chopping out instead of filling in the boosters, so they can put the car on level ground. Probably reduces the water flow just by, being flat. What's the driveway gonna be?
Oil and stone. And there's an apron, so we've got to go to highway for the change of apron, and you know, I'm happy to offer to put I know there was a letter from one of the neighbors worried about the drainage. We can put a strip drain, but I got nowhere to put it, so we'd have to put a French drain along the south side of the property and have it run down and have a French drain pipe, and I'm happy to do that if you want.
Horace?
Porous, you know, just stone. But it's tough to walk in fields.
Yeah.
But, you know, the wall, if it ends prior to 10 feet from.
10 feet from the property, yeah.
It's going down to 0,
Well, we just want to note that there was a letter from a neighbor concerning runoff, and obviously this board's position is there is no such thing. We do everything we can to mitigate.
Yeah, and in addition, you know, the grade wasn't really changed at all. The septic system was put in at grade and that property runs and then it runs down to meadow just naturally. But in addition to that, we removed all the grass along the street. We put sand and gravel, put topsoil on top of it. So when it runs off, you know, the runoff, we improved the site in
Right.
that situation. And the corner also. There's a lot of pooling there, so we dug that out and put sand and gravel. So it should be better.
So I don't see any reason why we can't have a resolution at the next meeting. Is that okay with you? You don't even have to come if you don't want to,
I have one suggestion.
please.
It could be a condition of whatever, building permit, CO, anything, but to get a survey that shows the top of wall elevations. Because we've had some other situations where walls are built and then a few years later, they're 2 or 3 feet higher than they were approved. And so it'd be nice to have a record, because your survey doesn't show that. Your survey doesn't show the
A final.
on each
You're
end
you're
where-
asking
where
for
the
a final
top
to
of
be
wall.
submitted at
Yeah,
at
and so
completion.
that
Yeah, that's
at
fine.
least when it's built, it's already built, right? You said?
No,
Oh, it's not. So at least something to show where the top of wall elevation is going to be once it's done, so that there's a record of it.
sure.
Okay.
So it should be top to bottom. You know,
Right, but at least a way to measure it, so that if the next owner goes in and adds 2 or 3 feet to it,
Mhm.
you can say that's not what it was approved at because the survey confirms
I,
it.
I
So-
don't, I'm happy to do that. I don't know why they would add to the wall, because then the house would be under the ground, but anything's possible.
Yeah, well, we're dealing with that on somebody else where they
Yeah, no
change
problem.
things after the fact, and it's causing problems, so.
the wall details clearly show that it's only 3 feet high.
Yeah.
If you can highlight that, and send it in.
Yeah.
I have no problem with asking for a resolution to be prepared for the next.
Yeah, and I don't even care if that becomes just, before CO, there's an as-built that shows the top and bottom of the
Mhm,
wall, that's
mhm.
fine too, but just some record of it.
So do you want the strip drain or not? Okay.
We're good. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
We're going to the West Hampton Country Club.
You gotta close.
I make a motion to close the public hearing
I second.
on Eric Mona Green.
And make a
I mean,
note that there was no other public comment.
I made the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we're going to the West Hampton Country Club.
Does this computer stay up here or somebody leave their computer?
It stays there.
Oh, okay, it's y'all's, okay. Kittrick Moats for the applicant, 54 Montauk Highway in Quogue. I'm here today with the attorney for, the engineer for the applicant, Vin. And we're here to answer any questions you might have. We've been to the Architectural Review Board, and we are hoping that you will adopt their report. They had no objection. You had requested at the last meeting landscape and lighting plans, which were submitted. And so I don't know if you have questions about them. Sorry, sir?
The lighting plan.
Mhm.
A lot of the parking lot is unlit. You're just lighting somewhat of a pathway, although I noticed that the crosswalk that goes across the entrance doesn't have any lighting on it. It seems that because the pedestrians have some visibility, but I'm not sure how that goes with the code. The code specifies certain lighting levels. Place over the whole thing, but this is an area where they're working. And I don't know if the parking area is even open there in the dark. That's also a factor. getting a bag and stuff, the parking lot's gonna be dark, or are they all gone by the time it's dark? It's like we didn't do any lighting to the beach club we did. Because,
Well, because they said they weren't gonna be
right,
open after hours, after dark.
I
And
can
some other
I can
things-
I can respond to that comment.
Good evening, members of the board. Vin Gaudiello with the Rayner Group. We are the civil engineers and land surveyors for the country club. When we got the comment about lighting the parking lot, we sat down with the board and their position was, yeah, we should probably put some lights in there. And they're primarily for, I would say, the end of the golf season where you may have a tournament, guys are inside, that's where they park their car. Obviously, you're not playing golf when it's dark out, but towards the end of the evening, you know, having some illumination in there. The crosswalk that was designed was primarily for our junior sports program, which is to take the kids from the clubhouse area and be able to bring them to the northerly portion of the site. So, you know, I don't envision any real outdoor activity at night other than golfers who are still on site within the clubhouse. The majority of our evening events utilize the the southerly parking lot at the facility. With all that said, and practically speaking, we don't want to lose any parking in that location or reduce the parking. And there's no other real good places to put pole-mounted lights other than where we're proposing them.
And we don't really want an
A-
excessive amount of
and-
lighting on the site.
And along those lines of where I'm coming from, this fixture that we're using is the same one we proposed and installed in the junior sports parking lot area. And believe it or not, out of the 6 fixtures that are there, 2 have been hit already. So to take a pole-mounted fixture and stick it more or less towards the westerly side in an area that would be just off the pavement, you know, I think the risk reward is it's just not there for us. I mean, if the board feels that we should provide more light, obviously we will consider that, but we don't believe we need it. We feel that there'll be enough illumination that where someone comes out and says, yeah, you know, there's my car. Fortunately for where we live, security is not a problem there. So it's not like we need to light the parking lot from a security standpoint. But I mean, that's where we are as far as our approach.
I'm somewhat torn between the code that says you're lighted and not. If we had case of Beach Club, they just said we're not having any nighttime activity, so that released us. I am a little more leery of a crosswalk than it's unlighted because crosswalks attract somebody. But I think I asked for signage for the crosswalk.
Okay.
Right there, you look at my comments, I had some comments regarding signing. You know, there's no requirement you have to light crosswalks, but there is some signing that you can do. It's reflective, so somebody that drives in to see the sign. Yeah. I don't like a crosswalk that's dark, it's an attractor, and that, I'm a little leery of that.
Let me speak with the architect and those guys. You know,
Look at my
not that I'm looking to put discs in the pavement, you know, like you would do at
Oh, no, that's too expensive.
that's too expensive, but maybe a bollard fixture or something, you know, modify something like that, Ron?
Just some regular signing and reflective pavement markings.
You know,
But if it's not
We
being
have-
used tonight, why are we beating this horse?
We are proposing 4 lampposts.
Courts have ruled that you have something like a pedestrian crosswalk.
Yeah, but we've already gone down this road with other people who don't have nighttime activities in an area.
No, but he's saying it's not necessarily gonna be forbidden to use it, right? You're saying that there's a chance that it might be used.
The club does have tournaments towards October, November, where, you know, that's, you know, they have a tournament, they're serving dinner, and you do find yourself leaving that place at dusk. We do have a lighting fixture though, Ron, in that crosswalk. I don't, you know,
I just didn't see any
here,
light level.
Daylight savings anyway.
Maybe that just didn't come out. On the illumination thing.
Good point.
There's a fixture.
Yeah, no, these are all right. I was concerned about that one.
oh, that one. Okay,
These have active light,
so you were thinking something like that.
something there.
Okay, I mean, that it's within a protected area, we could certainly consider that.
Well, it's where all the traffic is going in and out. It really is more of a potential golf club liability. than it is a village
I hear you.
So
That lot though, where that walkway is used for, that's our junior sports walkway. And, you know, I really doubt, I don't think guys are parking in that parking lot and walking all the way to the club for the golf.
It could though, because you have the house, staff housing, sidewalk leads that way, so staff could be leaving, walking that way at night while people are coming out of a tournament. It just seems easy enough to have reflective signage.
What
We
kind
can
of
certainly go with the pavement markings. That's a no-brainer.
And are you looking for something else though too besides pavement markers?
Standard pavement marking, standard crosswalk sign.
Okay, and signage, pavement marking and signage through that area.
Yeah.
That's something that we could certainly do.
You know, I forget what the actual number is, but it's the walking man and then a plaque beneath with the arrow that leads to the crosswalk.
Again, from a safety perspective with the kids, I think the signage works 24 hours, so, and I'm not really worried.
If there's kid crossing and this golfer's going in and out of there.
That's the objective of that crosswalk, to really be honest with you. If you're familiar with the facility, and at, you know, 8:30 when guys are showing up to play golf, especially the ones that are late, you know, we don't really need that in conflict with, you know, 6 and 8-year-olds walking through a parking lot.
Better off with.
But if you look at C3, you have the markings shown there.
All right,
If you look at page C3, sir,
what we'll do though, I believe it's missing the signage.
proposed ADA ramp.
Ramp, so that's ADA ramp. It's just missing the signage, so we need to put the signage in there.
Track pad, proposed curb.
Yeah.
So we'll put that, add that to the plan,
Add signage.
in accordance with the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices.
Yeah, just
I'm gonna say
make
add
sure it's
signage, you'll know what that means.
Yep. It means it's reflective, it's a standard sign, it's a standard emblem. That's basically what it means.
Okay. Any other questions about the parking lot or the curb cuts or any of that business? We're good? And the landscape's good? You're good with landscaping? Okay.
We did meet with Matt Smith regarding that permit application and the curbing that we're proposing. It's likely we're gonna need to put some drainage along the edge of pavement. The pavement is very flat in that area. So unless we were rebuilding from the center line out, we're not gonna be able, you know, we don't wanna create bird baths or ponding conditions within the pavement.
Oh, and it's very minor. You're showing the Belgian blocks, kind of look like they cross over the parking, the
Property line,
property line, make sure they're behind it.
okay. He did not have an issue with it being within the road right of way. And that's why we kind of brought it a little bit in. But we can certainly put it wherever you guys want it, or end it wherever you guys want it.
We want it where Matt wants it.
Yeah.
Well, what
Matt says it's okay.
Matt recognized as part of what we're doing with the apron is to kind of make it clear to people that this is not a public road.
Right.
You're not driving
That's
around
right.
the road and you
That's
just,
right.
oh, what's up,
Yep.
where does this take me to?
Absolutely.
So it was kind of delineate that. He had said as long as it's basically 2 feet off the traveled way, he didn't have a problem with that. Now, I don't think they have the money to build an apron that's 20 feet wide. like they did at the main entrance, but again, our intentions is to go create DPW permit drawings, which we will also obviously submit to you guys.
Anything that's in the right of way that Matt says is okay, it's okay.
All right.
All right, well, I guess we'll anticipate the updates and see you again.
Is it possible to close the hearing subject to us submitting the revised crosswalk signage?
We're not in a hearing. There's no hearing right now.
No hearing, so,
The board waived that.
okay. Great. So we'll just get our
There's no
material
reason why
in.
you can, if Vin can submit something that satisfies Ron between soon.
What do you find things regarding signing? I think that was the only thing. I
Signage
had
of the
some
crosswalk.
questions about where curves ended and stuff,
Okay.
but it was mostly had to do with sign.
Okay.
So you'll address the signage and that'll be it?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
If you address that adequately and at the staff level, we can put you on for a resolution for the 13th.
Oh, great.
Okay,
All
great.
right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. We've got minutes from July 9th. I need a motion to accept them as written.
Make the motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
And what about a debrief? We got a debrief for next time around?
Yeah, well, one of the things I believe we need to, 220 Dune Road, we have to figure out what the secret was. That's gonna be also zoning books, we talked about that.
Yeah,
Now, are they at
we-
ZBA?
They are, and we did talk to them last week about the lead agency issue, and they are open to doing it.
Well,
So
I think we should be lead agency. I've been thinking
now
about
you do.
it. Yeah.
I agree. I
Chris.
think we should.
Yeah. I think we've got to take lead agency on this. Anybody got an opinion out there?
I think we make better decisions.
That's not
We're
appropriate.
much better at this than they are. And we've
I,
got our experts here.
no, you can't say stuff like that on the record. That's not.
No, we know that.
The only reason we had thought maybe this was one time that they should do it is because they have a tougher job than you. They do.
Mhm.
They have to decide about the use. You're deciding about the site. They're deciding about the use itself. And
Yeah, but the secret scenario is something I'm concerned about.
meaning what?
Meaning I think we should be in charge of that.
All right, but we'll tell them that that's what you want to do. You want to poll the board and
Sure.
We could-
Don, what do you think?
On the 13th.
I
we could
agree with that,
actually make
Ralph. I think,
it
you know,
lead agency, we can send it out.
Yeah, I
Purpose
said
of the
last time, I
boards.
think we should keep it.
yeah, the purpose of the boards are check and balance. I mean,
Dave doesn't want to do it.
I think this one time we actually have another board which might actually take it, so.
The reason I thought zoning board was because the site itself is set up exactly like a single family dwelling on Dune Road. There's nothing inherently commercial about the proposed site. But obviously under secret and whatever impacts are discussed.
I think there's well, I can't really say that. I think we should be discussing secret at this meeting.
There's two major issues, right? Not issues, there's two major discussions. One is use and one is probably traffic/parking. Those are the two things.
Well, community impact should be a consideration.
I would say parking is all based on use. The change of
Yeah.
use is a heavier decision.
it's going to be see, you guys wouldn't have the same jurisdiction that the zoning board would have to address the condition of capacity of the site, like as easily as they will, because they have to deal with the use, and their condition on the use could deal with the capacity. You're dealing with site plan elements. You don't have
Well,
like a
isn't that their decision though? I mean, isn't that the point of them going to ZBA? That they will be looking at the use and the capacity? And that doesn't necessarily mean they have to be lead agency. That means they've got to do their job and administer the zoning.
it's a question of overlap of the two, overlap of secret and overlap of what their main criteria are going to be. bigger overlap between their decision and the secret than there is your decision and the secret. It's the one time that this is
I mean,
true. Most of the time, it's not. Most
As
of
a
the
practical
time,
matter, I agree with Brad in that you look at the plan, unless somebody told you it was a proposed synagogue, it looks like any other house on
No, it-
Dune Road.
It looks like a large house on Dune Road.
But for maybe the paths and the walkways and whatnot, but for the most part, it's gonna be visually indistinguishable from most other construction that we have down there, so.
When it's not in use.
Well, I'm just saying, but that, so I'm saying in terms of the site plan elements, I don't really see it being any different than a single family home.
and let me put it in reverse, because I know what your concern is, but let me put it in reverse to their, what could happen. And I'm not saying this will happen, but let's say you were to go through the process and you were to say, yeah, we've looked at it and we don't think there's gonna be a significant impact here based, don't make faces, like I'm giving you a hypothetical.
Yes.
You go through the process, the secret process, and you could say, as long as it's conditioned on this and that, we don't think there's gonna be a significant impact. It goes back to them, they're effectively bound in
Bound.
part by that. Whereas
Well-
that's their decision to make. That's like the underlying jurisdictional decision that they have to make. My point is that the two things that overlap go stronger with them than with you. Doesn't mean you can't do it, doesn't mean they can't do it. It's the only reason why we thought maybe this was the one case where they should do it.
All right, let's take a poll here. Ron, we'll start with you.
Sure.
I think the weightier decision is the zoning board of appeals, that if they don't make the decision positively, something's gonna happen. You really don't have a site plan to look at. The use doesn't change. They don't allow the use to change.
Well, that's not gonna happen. How is that
Well, they
even
can-
possible?
yeah, but part of the discussion could be whether it's gonna, well, for whatever, they look at the sequel and they make a determination, yeah, the use can happen, but, we're gonna limit it to 50 seats, or it can be 150 seats. That's part of their kind of decision, and it seems to me it drives everything else, what they decide.
Brad?
Yeah, I think the zoning board, because I think everything derives from the use, and I am always more comfortable when the planning board does not dictate use. I think the use comes from your code, and short of that, it comes from the zoning board, and then you all figure out how best to work the site.
Britton?
I agree. I think the conditions that will be set on the parcel and its development will be conditions based on the use and not based on the layout of the site plan.
I think that said too, I want to point, like, being an involved agency instead of a lead agency doesn't mean you don't have input on it. Too many times, I think our boards fail and other boards fail, that when they're an involved agency, they just leave it to the lead agency to go and do secret, and then afterwards they complain about it. You don't have to do that. So you are definitely an involved agency. It will be coordinated with you. And I would, if that were the case, that they're lead agency and you're an involved agency, I would encourage you to make your thoughts known and your concerns known about the environmental issues.
But presumably, the
Wait,
three drivers.
Wait, no, wait. We're gonna hear you too.
Okay.
But we're gonna be organized.
All right.
Please, Rocco.
Listening to Tony, I hear his points. I listen to you guys, and it sounds like there's a little bit more control from the zoning board than from us on the issue with respect to outside the site. Basically, the impact to the neighborhood.
Mhm.
Am I right with that, Tony? So, and I think that's, from what I've seen down there, I think that's really the bigger issue is what's going on around the site. The house, it's a house that they're using for religious purposes, and it fits in the neighborhood. And I think that's the whole intent of their design, is they want to fit in. but the end use, getting into the property, I think, causes an issue in the neighborhood when they congregate. So I'm thinking that the zoning board may have more control of that than we do.
Okay. Please.
Parking, traffic, community involvement are gonna likely drive the zoning board's consideration of use, which are the three things that we're most concerned about. So I don't see how they're gonna do any less of a job evaluating those factors. Perhaps in some way or another, we could, not an advisory report, but in some way relay our concerns, suggestions from a planning perspective while they're making.
Well, do
their
we make a
determination.
suggestion whether or not it's a pos deck or neg deck?
I think that's up to them.
Well, do we make a recommendation on that?
As
Is my
I
question.
can tell you, as an involved agency, you can raise areas of concern because that's the job of the lead agency is to consider the areas of concern and consider whether it rises to the level of a positive or negative declaration. So yeah, you don't, it's not your job to say you should do it this way, or you should do it that way, but it is your job as an involved agency to raise areas of concern so that they can be evaluated.
I mean, since
So-
the ultimate determination of positive versus a negative deck would be the lead agency's determination, I
Right.
think it would be inappropriate for our board to offer our 2 cents as to what they should decide. We can tell them what we think that they should consider, but to
Well,
tell them,
I'm not telling
I
them
don't
what to
think we're
decide.
I don't think we're in a position to say this should be a pos deck or a neg deck. I don't think that's our role.
No, but we're allowed to have an opinion,
Yeah,
and
but I
we
don't
can
think it's our
express
role.
our opinion.
It's early for that too. I mean, you got to give the applicant the chance to present their evidence. They haven't done that yet. They haven't presented anything.
We're
So
predicting the outcome.
we're not really there to even talk about whether it should or shouldn't be
Right.
pos deck. It's a matter of who should be lead agency and who should be involved agency. That's all.
An involved agency can tell the lead agency that they feel like this X is a significant factor that needs to be seriously looked at. You can word things in such a way to where the lead agency has to reckon with what you say is involved agency. Oh, okay. Well, they can't just not answer that.
Larry?
I'm flexible on it. From listening to both sides, that sounds like zoning ought to take the lead.
Don?
Rocco made a good point in terms of the impact on the community and the impact also on the congregants and their safety of going to their place of religion. I think that's important too, with Dune Road being as busy as it is during certain months. Now, Tony didn't like the comment, but I've seen what the BZA has done to this community, Tony. Okay, and they've made a lot of exemptions to zoning, and they're ruining it. Okay, so I have no confidence in them. I have a lot of confidence in this board, though, and I don't think we should shun the responsibility.
Well, Tony, I have a question based on what he said. How much jurisdiction do we have on impact outside the property? Because maybe we have.
What's the point of secret?
Well,
Yeah, well,
there's secret and there's site planning. So there's three things going on. There's zoning board variances. There's your site plan jurisdiction, and then there's secret. Secret is an umbrella, right? It's not a substantive decision to make. It's a procedure to follow to come up with impacts and determine what the impacts are. But there's just the only reason that we brought up the zoning board as even a possibility, because normally you guys do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that every time we've
We were
had dual,
expecting to do
every
it.
time we have
Yeah.
dual jurisdiction that I can think of, it's been your board taking the lead agency. But most of the time, the zoning board has a small role to play. It's like a small variance. If all they were doing was like a parking variance, for example, that probably wouldn't be enough. But in this case, because there's no use permitted, they have to grant a version of a use variance. And that is the big decision that needs to be made. So
Well, I think
all
that's
of
a
the things they
no-brainer.
have to
They can't do anything about that. I mean, the zoning board just doesn't have that. I mean, here's a situation where, I agree with Don's assessment. of the ZBA and what's gone on, okay? For a while now, since the chairmanship changed, okay? But there's no way they're gonna say no to a synagogue. There's no way. You know that, I know that.
Well, it's
We
not
all know
really,
that.
it's not, Ralph, it's not really about saying no.
Right.
Because, and I'm telling you
That
this now,
usage,
they,
or
they,
any religious use.
you cannot just say no to religious use. What you
course
can
not.
do is impose limits
Mhm.
to counteract the impact.
Exactly.
So for
Well, isn't
example,
that a planning responsibility?
not really. Not when it comes to something as fundamental, like what's the capacity? What,
Well, I
what
think
should-
if you look at the statistics we've been fed so far, we've got no real way of ascertaining the
your,
true
s-
capacity.
your site plan jurisdiction doesn't empower you to make that decision.
But then
Their
if-
variance jurisdiction does empower them to make that decision.
How is that so? I mean, they're gonna say whether or not you have a 10-foot buffer or not. They're gonna say whether or not you have a 75-foot buffer or not. They're gonna say whether or not you have a religious use or not. But how does that have anything to do with the planning of the building?
The building capacity, the limiting factors on how big or how many people you can put in, it's sanitary is number one.
Well, that's Suffolk County. That's another one.
Right, then it's gonna go to parking. And there is no state requirement to provide any parking. All that derives from local zoning, local code. So that's, again, that's your trustees. And then, once those numbers are figured out, then you all say, well, this is how you set up the parking, this is how we have.
Well, I don't know how you get from 8 to 33, even on a zoning.
We're not talking about specific numbers. We still don't know exactly. That was a number that I had to eyeball based on a floor plan that I got. We still haven't heard from the applicant. But Tony's point is, this board does not determine use or capacity. All that derives from
I
zoning.
know why we're here.
I thought the definition of a planning board, part of it was to protect the safety of the residents.
Yeah,
And the
I'm not disputing,
congregants.
I'm not disputing that.
Okay, well, I'm
But-
just
but that
answering this
doesn't-
question.
But you do that by analyzing the site plan conditions that are defined in the code.
Like the
You
capacity.
don't, no, not really.
Capacity's a
Show me in the
safety
code where
issue.
it says that. Show me in your site plan code where it says you can determine, you determine parking, you determine lighting, you determine layout, you determine circulation. Where in your code does it say you get
Well,
to
don't we have a
decide how
fire
many people
department
thare
that
allowed
does
to have?
things like that?
You know what?
Fire
Don't we have a
marshals.
fire
Fire
department? Don't we have a police department?
It's
Don't we
not,
have any kind of control over capacity?
those jurisdictions do too. And so does the health department. But you're not gonna wanna, I'm not saying you, the village is not gonna wanna rely on the fire limits for the building to determine how many people they should have in there. Cause if the fire limit says you could have 100 people in here, 200 people in here, you gonna be okay with that?
How would that be possible? I mean,
Be
you could pick
surprised.
you could pick the number of 1,000. They would never let that. You could pick the number of 100. They would plausibly not allow that.
You would be surprised. That's not a, that's not a discretionary decision. Whatever the health department capacity and the fire marshal capacity is, that's gonna be a function of whatever the codes say they are. But there's a much bigger discretionary decision that needs to be made by the zoning board as to when this use isn't allowed here and they've only got 7 parking spaces outdoors and a couple for the apartment, what is the real capacity for this site? That's their big decision to make. It's not your big decision
I'd be
to make.
astounded if that conversation, the way you just espoused it, is had at the ZBA.
It will be had.
Right?
But either way, it's gotta, even if we take leads, they still have to evaluate, capacity no matter what,
Well,
so.
they've got a couple of borders and they've got, what else? Whether or not
But ultimately,
they're
they're,
allowed to have a house of worship. That's them.
but ultimately, what's gonna drive the end result is what the capacity is. Presumably, they're not gonna get more capacity than they're asking for right now. So the house isn't the max, or the house of the synagogue, the structure, the way it's laid out is the best they can hope for right now. It can only get smaller from there, in my opinion. And if we go through this whole thing and the zoning board comes back and says something completely different that causes a redesign, then all the planning work that we've done is for naught. We have to know what the heck that they're gonna allow before we can plan. We can offer our 2 cents
Oh,
on what they should be thinking about.
We're not talking about the same things here, Dave.
Well, one issue is
Okay.
capacity, and shouldn't we know as a board where that's going before we get there? Like, what do we think capacity is gonna be, and who's figuring that out?
But we don't really have anything.
Like,
in-
who's, like,
in
how is that
cement
being
at this
determined?
time,
It's
right?
too early. It's too early to have that
Yeah, but you know-
conversation,
yeah,
but it
you
is
know
gonna have to
something?
happen.
It might be early to have the conversation, but somewhere, somebody's gonna decide who's making that call, and how is it made?
Well, I mean, that's where we are right now.
Right,
We're
that's what we're
trying
trying
to
to,
decide
but I'd like
whether
to
or
know
not we're lead
now, when I
agents.
say now, we should know how that's gonna fall.
My point, Rocco, is the zoning board, because of the use variance they have to make, could condition that use variance on
The
a
capacity.
capacity limit. That would be logical for that to happen.
It'd be astounding.
Stop. It'd be logical for that to happen. For you to do it, I'm not sure.
Can we even
I
do
don't
it?
know that you could justify that based on your site plan code. That
Well,
if you were to say, taking our site plan criteria, we still think you should have a capacity limit of X.
Well, I mean, as far as I know, we've never set capacity as a board.
My point, Rocco. That's my
Nice
point.
job, Rocco.
I agree with you.
I mean,
All
you know,
right, we're
listen, I'm
talking
just stating the
circles.
obvious that we've never done that, and how are we gonna make that stick if we wanted to? So we can't.
So I guess that's what we'll be talking about in the near future. So at that,
So on the 13th, I think we should have a formal secret discussion again, and this board should either elect to make lead agency or, because the zoning board's gonna talk about it on the 20th. We're advertising it next week. Because the zoning board typically, most everything is a public hearing and it's held open, so they're used to the sequential nature, because they only need one.
so we're on the 13th, they're on the 20th.
Yeah, so you could think about it for 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks, we're gonna ask you again.
We'll do a
And
poll in 2
You
weeks.
make a
and we'll-
decision, do we want it,
Make a final
or
decision, yeah.
are we willing to defer to the zoning board?
And we'll have conversations with our experts. as
Much
well.
to my chairman's chagrin, I'm sure, unfortunately, I will not be at the 13th meeting.
At least you're not springing it on the night before.
So he can stack the deck how he chooses.
It'll be a shorter meeting for all of us. I make a motion, we close the meeting.
I
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Uh,
2-2 is a nothing. 2-2 is it's a non-decision. You can't, there's no such thing as a 2-2 decision.
So do we have to rely on a higher authority, so to speak? Should we have the rabbi?